Hi guys, my name is Dr. Marnie. I'm here with Sifu Kevin Goat. Well, I wanted to invite Kevin today to talk to me a little bit about his journey because it's actually quite phenomenal. And the history on the way that I met Kevin was being able to help my child, Savannah, in the school playground area where she was somewhat getting bullied and had some traumatic events, and we just went right to the source and was able to reach out to Kevin right away and get some sessions and being able to talk about the playground, the schoolyard, the interaction, and how to have presence in your well-being. And so that just was so successful that we've got both Siloué and Savannah in classes with you for how many years has it been? Six?
Yeah, quite a few now,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, consistently.
Yeah.
So that was really meaningful for my family
Mm.
and for their development. And I think it should be essential for
Yeah.
almost every child to
We,
learn respect and learn,
mm,
the rules of how to be present. And that's what's always really struck me strong when I've met you is just the presence that you carry.
Thank you.
And that has so much value in society from day to day, really.
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
you train too.
Yeah, and I train every week now too,
Yeah.
and it was my own experience that first with helping my daughter, but then my own experience of having been assaulted that allowed me to come to you and say, I need this strength and resilience. And being on my own, I wanted to be able to be strong enough to feel comfortable being on my own and have that same presence. I really wanted to
It's not an easy journey.
in.
It's not an easy journey. I
Yeah.
mean, the first step is taking that step, right? And a lot of people don't do that, right? So it becomes very interesting. But yeah, I'm excited.
So tell me, how did you come to be able to have the dojo, the Kung Fu Academy, and where did it all start from? You talk about your family, and they, allowed you to be able to be present in the training on a day-to-day basis. Your dad would come up and grab you or try to trip you or something.
And many stories. And it's funny, like a lot of the kids, whenever we do coaches corners, they always remember the stories. And yeah, it's so funny when people are like, oh, I remember this about you. I'm like, wow, I told you that. So I mean, the Calgary Kung Fu Academy has been around now for 7 years. I've been teaching martial arts since I was 19 years old. I started martial arts when I was 5 years old. Went to a lot of different styles of martial arts. Basically started off, I was a kid who was needing discipline. It was before ADHD was diagnosed, so easily for people. So it was my kid's not paying attention, my kid's having focus issues. Let's get them to learn discipline. And in that process, they'll learn respect and they'll learn all these great things. So I had a really good first instructor. First one was like the karate dojo down the street, just in the community hall. Barely remember it. Second one was my sensei, Gary Lloyd. He's, I think, 75 now and still competing in Taekwondo. I ran into him at the martial arts equipment place the other day, which is really cool. And then I mean, the journey began there, and then I went into kickboxing later on as a teenager. I started teaching Kung Fu at 19. Left Kung Fu to join the military for 3 years, came back from the military, started training police officers, got into Filipino martial arts, and then really it became not just my full-time profession teaching again, but training. So I was training 8 hours a day on average, teaching 8 hours a day, and it was basically my life.
Your whole life.
Yeah, my whole life. Like literally every weekend I was free, everything I was doing was just dedicated to martial arts. Eventually, I was working at a place, we had 1,300 students, and my sensei Chris, was like, I think it's time you go out on your own. And I agreed, right? It was great. He really helped me along with that process and journey. And that was kind of my journey for myself of why I gave myself a black belt. It wasn't just because I created my own system and I could do it. I created it from the 7 different black belts I have and molded everything together because I was looking for a whole bunch of things, but just read my website for that. But the journey spiritually for me was believing in myself enough, selling my house, taking the money from the house, starting the business, and trying to build. I found success. Within 14 months, I hit my third year goal. So things were booming. Things were just amazing. We had a party at my house, and 2 days later, COVID hit. And then that was
tough.
that was probably the most challenging thing I've ever been through. So within less than 24 hours, I lost 55% of my student base and my income. Canada had a lot of very tough and strict regulations about how we could function. I was in a smaller place than this, and then 5 years ago now, we came here, we moved here, and been going strong ever since. So it's great. It's great. I love it.
So one of the things that I really wanted to know about our conversation is how you were able to develop the discipline. And I suspect the military kind of brought in some of that discipline with you. And I can tell that you're really disciplined in life, in nutrition and exercise and those kinds of things. Where did that come from? Is that something that you had, or what is it that developed it?
It's weird because it's like one of my biggest pet peeves is when parents say, "Oh, my kid knows how to defend themselves because they train martial arts." And it's like, well, that's not the truth at all, right? You have to build a system around that. So on the physical side, there was a lot of things that I really didn't like about all the different styles of martial arts I was learning. Everybody has strengths, everybody has weaknesses. As far as a business goes, though, most martial art places these days offer, okay, we're going to learn our ethos, and our ethos are what we have to repeat at the start of every class, and it helps kids and kind of gives them memorization. At the Tao piece where I used to teach in 2012 to 2018, they had what's called coaches corners. So Sensei Chris was a vice principal before. He was a teacher turned vice principal and always did this kind of in his part-time hours. And I absolutely loved it. So they did a coach's corner in the class. They actually did 3. So they did one before class, during class, and at the end of class as well. Okay. And in these coach's corners, the kids were learning life skills. Most martial arts studios build a reputation based upon how their students fight or how they do in tournaments. Sensei Chris had built this massive organization with him and his wife and some amazing instructors. And they didn't compete at all. And I was like, okay, something special is here for sure.
Right.
And that's when I really learned, how can I integrate life skills? I created a curriculum for it based on a lot of things that he taught, and also I had learned over the years through my life. Military, obviously huge discipline, following routines, things like that have always helped me a lot. I would probably say that's such a huge selling feature for a lot of people. Sensei Chris actually wrote a book called Bully Proofing. It's a fantastic book as well.
Oh, that's cool.
And that really helped me learn how to teach children. I'm really good at I was really good at teaching adults and teaching teens. I really connected with them. And then when I had to go out on my own, I realized, well, I have to get better at being able to teach younger kids and being able to talk to them. When you guys had first approached me, bullying kind of touched my heart quite a bit. And I don't normally do family private lessons. I normally just do adults. But it was the bullying that really got to me because I had been bullied myself. Just recently, I've gone through a lot of spiritual stuff and kind of spiritual awakening through it. I was not just verbal bullied, I was also physically bullied and assaulted and shattered my arm. So maybe unbeknownst to me at the time, but now coming more into my consciousness of, maybe that's why I started really training martial arts. Maybe there was a lot of fear-based things. It wasn't just keeping my family safe, it was keeping myself safe.
Is that where the self-defense program comes in?
Definitely, yeah, because it changed quite a bit. Like, no matter, like I had trained when I was bullied and broke my arm. I'd been training martial arts for probably 5 or maybe 6 years by that point. And I thought, I could defend myself. And one-on-one, maybe I would have done a little bit better, but 2 of the guys attacked me, pushed me down, and I landed on my hand and shattered my arm. Right? And it was like, okay, like, as much martial arts training as you have, it's not going to be fair on the street. So it can change things quite a bit.
Real life aspects of it,
Yeah, so the coaches' corners I really love because one, we obviously teach martial arts skills. They're going to learn discipline. They're going to learn respect. They have to come into the dojo. They bow on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have their uniform, have their belt, look
Mm-hmm.
good. All the things that I've always learned when I was growing up through martial arts. But now we get to actually sit down and have a chat. What does it mean to be a good person? What does self-defense really mean? How do you bully proof yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Sensei Chris he's such a good man. He's like, teach all my stuff. He's like, all we're going to do is really just help make the world a better place. So a lot of
Totally.
the stuff there has been through his guidance and his teaching, which is great.
And I remember sitting in the waiting room and listening to those stories and going, oh, those are awesome. And they actually meant a lot to me too. Like, to be honest, as an adult, we don't have all of those skills as well. Yeah.
And there's coaches' corners I do where, my assistant instructor is like, was that coach's corner for the kids or was that for the adults listening? And I was like, it's a little bit of both. Yeah. Right. Because there's so many things. It's like we can all consistently learn. Nobody's going to be perfect. I mean, our generation of parents, our second generation from the war, right, PTSD issues, all the above, at least it was in my family. And it's like, they're not going to have good parenting skills.
Right.
So we're all learning. There's no judgment. We're
just sharpening the tool, being able to have better coping and quality of communication.
Yeah, well, and that's so important. I mean, without good communication, you have no good self-defense, right? So if I can teach the kids about how to properly communicate, about emotional intelligence, they're not only just going to be better, for being able to defend themselves if a physical situation was to take place, but also be able to mentally just cope with it.
So tell me about the process in which you've become from like that mental to physical and the connection between the two. Like Kung Fu Academy has a name for being able to integrate that, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
And then how have you evolved over your fitness? Like, did you compete at one time as well? Like you were.
Yeah. So first part of the question, like. The reason why I called it the Calgary Kung Fu Academy versus like Kevin Goat with self-defense is we never tried to go viral. That happened years later. So that was a complete accident. We can maybe get into that later. But I called it the Kung Fu Academy because Kung Fu means to master yourself. So a chef has Kung Fu. I didn't want it to just be Kung Fu because Kung Fu is always in relation to martial arts. I wanted it to be Kung Fu, more of a generalized term. I would say I teach more so with like an Eastern philosophy, but I have the mindset of Western martial arts of what actually works in self-defense situation. And this is typically where I explain it is what's the difference between martial and art, right? There's a lot of things that we do that in the martial art world that are considered art, in my opinion, of they're never going to be applicable, but it doesn't mean that we can't learn from them. Because I have a physiotherapy and occupational therapy background, it helps me also understand that proprioception is really what I'm teaching. So I'm teaching people about their body, right? We're just doing it through the vessel of martial arts. I was super clumsy as a kid. I've broken many bones, broke my wrist, ankle 3 times, dislocated, broken toes through the yin-yang, 150 plus stitches, spinal issues.
Because you're clumsy?
Well,
I don't think so.
There's a lot of those broken bones were when I was younger, for sure. I would actually say now with the nutritional information I have, I would actually probably say it was due to my diet.
Oh, really?
So I was quite obese as a kid. I was 5'6", 205 pounds. So when I started growing more, obviously I was cutting some of that weight off, but 100% it was my diet. Right, so I've been through a lot of struggles. I would probably say I have body dysmorphia to a degree right now, and that fuels me in a good way, as long as we find balance with it, right? And that's what I'm learning now at 42 years old, is to find a little bit more balance. So I learned how to master my body. It took time. A lot of people are like, oh, you're able to do this just because you're athletic and, you work out and you do these things. And it's like, no, I built that. Like I 100% time, effort, dedication, practice, reps, thousands, 10,000s of reps. Like it was 100% built. It wasn't something that was natural, just given to me. Like I grew up with a friend, and we were getting into gymnastics and, he learned to double backflip like first try. And it's like, some people are just gifted. He ended up being an Olympic ski jumper, so at least he did something with it, right? But my goal is to teach people about their body, right? In the kids program, we focus a lot more on eye, foot, and hand control, right? And that's why we play so many games. That's why we do so much kicking. But kicking on a self-defense basis isn't necessarily super practical, and that's why in the adult program, especially in the self-defense class, we virtually do almost no kicking. We do some, but very minimal. I only learned that because I spent years learning all these different martial arts and chasing all these different black belts and waiting to find the one art that had everything. And what I realized was none of them had it all. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to pick and choose pieces of each one and find all their strengths. And then I'm going to create my own system, and then I'm going to go pressure test the system. So that's when I really started to go out there, and I said, okay, I'm just going to go fight people. Not outside, like just inside. But I seen real combat, not overseas, but in the military. There's a lot of dudes getting in fights, and you see a lot of things that, well, let's just say, I believe the martial art world think would end a fight, like a punch to the groin or a kick or a knee to the groin or an eye gouge or a broken arm. I've seen people pop their arm back in and hit people with the same arm and knock the guy out.
Wow.
So and multiple attackers and all these different things, right? So I think there's this balance of what are you going to prioritize with your training? And to me, the kids program, we focus on a lot of proprioception, understanding our body, having gong fu over ourselves. In the adult program, we then take that a little bit further into more the mental aspect of.
Yeah, I feel like that when I was taking classes in self-defense and then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and then in the Gong Fu program, there's a lot of the mental aspect of it, especially in the self-defense, because you had to be really clear about communications and boundaries, and that is very much about awareness and understanding where you are sitting in the eyes of somebody else or
Well, and that's where like being a hard or being a soft target is like one of my most popular videos, right? It wasn't just because I stabbed the guy in the butt, right? But it was
hard and soft.
Yeah. But see, at least you know that term.
Of Kevin, and then
But that's what's so important, right? Is that at least you know that now. And it really, like the self-defense videos that I put out, they really started off martial arts focused. And then people are like, well, you know, is that going to work in self-defense? What I realized, I was like, well, people really want to understand what self-defense really is, because there's this whole niche that's broken. And they say, if you train martial arts, you know self-defense, and it's bullshit.
Yeah, it's not true.
It's not, right? And that's why in the self-defense classes, you know, like we have to try acting. We have to do all these weird things and pull ourselves out of our own comfort zone, because we have to try to mimic or role play a certain situation. And then you have laws to be able to back that up. Are you allowed to engage? Are you not allowed to engage? Is somebody your size allowed to engage versus somebody me? Do you have training? Do you not have training? Like all these things come into play. And I think that's why we have to be able to separate those classes. My martial arts class is martial arts. It's built for the street, but it's built with the mindset of we're going to do MMA, but it's going to look like MMA to anybody else until you're in it. And then all you see, suddenly you see one of my students maybe get to mount position, throw a couple punches, and then they disengage right away. Right? Where in a UFC fight, if you did that, you'd lose your fight or you lose your position or lose points in the fight, right? So it's completely different. So it's more training with the mindset of self-defense. Where in the self-defense class, it's no, this is self-defense. This is the fast, nitty-gritty, you could say boring stuff, not flashy stuff of this is going to happen. Can you do this or not?
Right. And what struck me very interesting about like the different types of martial arts and BJJ is that there's actually sequences and like there's a whole method to the madness that's going on there. And that was amazing to me. But that doesn't necessarily, you know, bridge into self-defense. Like there's
it can. Like, I mean, I don't believe that there's any other martial art available. That's why I'm a BJJ black belt, of how to properly fight on the ground, right? If you have wrestling background, it'll help you, but BJJ will really, really help you when you train it the right way. But like nowadays, BJJ has changed so much. It's not old school BJJ like what you see in UFC 3. Right? It's leg locks and, you know, going for all these attacks and exposing vulnerable areas on their body to get the submission. And if you have the skill set, you can do it in a self-defense situation, but that takes years. right? And a lot of people don't have years to train. A lot of people don't even have more than 1 day a week to train.
And you talk about that reflex mechanism of like the mindset. So like for me, my reaction is always to go back.
Yes.
And a lot of the times you're saying, Marnie, go forward.
Fix your stance. Yes.
It's very hard to be able to relearn those reactions. And that's what self-defense is about, is being able to understand where you are, but also where the reactions can be putting you in a bit more safe position rather than on your back.
And that's not easy to do, like you said, right? Is for whatever reason you have that programming that to move back. A lot of people's natural response is to move backwards when something happens. But if you continue to move backwards, you're just losing ground in the fight.
Right.
That's where like many years of teaching helped me create this. But in my most recent endeavor with martial arts, I'm learning from Todd Fauci. He's fantastic. He really understands human performance and how the mind works. And that's where he taught me the 4 things of you have to be able to teach somebody to memorize what they're doing. So in BJJ, for example, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Then you have to be able to teach yourself that so you can go and practice that at home and solidify it in your brain. Then we get into kind of performance and technique is now you go and you test it. Right, so in BJJ you would do sparring, right, and we call it pressure testing. So we're pressure testing. We're like, okay, can we complete this and have success? Yes, at 20% resistance, 40% we're still good, 60% we're still good, 80%, oh, it's not working anymore. The technique has issues. Is it the technique or is it the sensitivity in the technique? There's all these different things. So when he was able to put words into just what I learned through 20 plus years of teaching, it really upped my game of how can I now help people understand it through their brain of, listen, what stage are you at and how much should you be pushing yourself right now, right? And that's where real confidence is built. And that's when you can really start reprogramming your nervous system and you can start reprogramming the way that you may naturally react. So it's not just tens of thousands of repetitions, it's how you do those repetitions that make a big, big difference.
Yeah. You often say that in your self-defense conferences that you do for women, where you get together gathering women to be able to teach them self-defense. Like this 6 hours is not going to fix what your reaction is going to be. But you can have some instances of like, you know, what can I do in this situation? Like if I'm on the ground and somebody's on top of me, what can I do? Like there's some really good tips that can come out of those.
For sure. Yeah, and I think that's where, like, when I do the seminars, a lot of people, like you've been to them, so you know. But I start off and I'm like, you're not going to remember anything physically that we do unless you come back and train on a weekly basis. So if you're not willing to commit to that, that's okay. But say if we did a 2-hour seminar, for the next hour, we're going to talk about the things that you need to be good at to prevent yourself from getting in those situations. Be a hard target. Don't be a soft target. Get off your phone, right? Make sure before you leave the house, right? Do you have different rules of engagement with your kids? Do you know how to make sure you're safe with your kids or your partner or your family? Like all of those things are more important. I think that's why my videos do well, because we talk about those things.
Yeah, and it's 100%. Like I go out of the dojo and I look around. Never would I have done that 3 years ago. No situational awareness, and now I do. Like I close my door in my car and then I lock it. And if nobody jumps in the car with me, that's great. I just prevented the next thing from happening. And those are things that people don't learn.
Think about. Well, I don't think they don't learn them. They just don't think about them. Right? Because they've never been told the stories that I've been told, or they've maybe lived in a privileged community where they don't have to worry about that, or whatever it is. And it's, I don't think one is worse than the other. It's just having the information. Like when I was training the police force, and I have lots of friends on the police force still, and I hear the stories of happens in Calgary, and it's like, well, what you're watching on the news is like 100th of the dangerous things that are taking place. It doesn't mean though that you need to be paranoid.
Right. The fear is hard to live with. So just being safe.
Prepared.
Is really what it is.
Being prepared, being safe, being alert, whatever you want to call it, right? There's a balance there. And as the protector in my family, I'm going to be on the side of more paranoid, right? Where my girlfriend probably doesn't have to be if she's with me, but because she's made so many of my videos, she's probably pretty good at situational awareness now, right? Just simply by reading or listening to it, right? So it makes a big difference for sure.
One of the best examples I can say about that is that me and the kids, we went to Mexico City with another family.
Yeah.
And we were actually walking through, the streets, not the really bad streets, but like even in the tourist area, there's hundreds, thousands of people that are just like conglomerating, and there are, homeless people. And I remember we had the group, and then there was like our driver, which was like the person that looked out as a kind of bodyguard in the front, and they put me on the tail all the time. And it was great because I had the situational awareness to be able to be watching, and the kids, like little ducklings, were in the middle. And the two families kind of traveled together this way. And there was one time in which I saw one guy that was coming straight for Savannah. And I went and I pushed her out of the way. And Savannah, it was amazing. She was like, pushed me, like double pushed me, and was like, "What are you doing?" Like, had that instinct.
That reaction.
And I was like, well, first of all, I'm your mom, and why did you do that to me? But I loved how she had that explosive energy, because she knew how to defend herself if she didn't know who was, around her. I said, well, there was this guy, he was coming for you. I just wanted to make sure that there was nobody gonna get to you.
Or anything, right? And it could be that quick. I mean, human trafficking, child trafficking is such a huge thing these days. And it's, again, like, at least you're looking out for the threats. I see parents at the park when I'm at the park with my son, and I'm sitting there and watching him and enjoying everything. And this is where I'm not paranoid. I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying the sunshine. I'm enjoying watching him fall on the swing or whatever he's doing, right? And meanwhile, I see other parents who are just on their phone, and then they look up and they're like, oh, where's Johnny?
My kid?
Right. And it's like, okay, like if I can change the world in that way with my videos, great. Totally worth it, right? But it's an interesting world. And I think the more that we can prepare ourselves for the worst possibilities, great, but also it can help us with the right mindset, just be more present in our lives, which I think we all need to do.
Absolutely. We wanted to know a little bit more about the injuries and the recovery of your body, because you've been through a lot. And as a naturopathic physician, I have such a huge passion to be able to help people recover in different ways, like the physical, the mental, the nutritional. And you've really bridged a huge gap. And I think that you're on this like high maybe right now, where you're at a great place. There was a lot of chronic pain that you had. You had a surgery, so maybe walk us through what you did.
It's been interesting, to say the least. So if we just kind of go back, all those broken bones and everything are obviously going to cause issues. They're going to cause certain pathways, but really it came down to overtraining. Right. So everything I was doing was hurting my body more and more and more. A lot of that actually came, I would say, from the military. I didn't go overseas. I lost my tour, and I had to bury 9 of my friends that year. Right. So in 7 months, I had been to more funerals than I'd ever been in my life. And everybody was young, very young. So, whether you want to label it as survivor's guilt or whatever, the Veteran Affairs helped me a little bit more understand more about the mental side of things. They paid for me to see a psychologist. I still continue to see one for my own mental health. So I'm easily over 500-600 hours by now in the last 20 years. So I really have a lot of desire to learn more about the mental aspect of things and how that really ties into the emotions that I hold in my body, and then how those emotions translate also to the pain I have in my body. I believed at a point that I deserved that pain. And being able to get out of that has really helped me a lot to find balance of, do you need to train this much? I pushed my body really hard. Like I went through kind of the idea of, 8 hours a day training, 8 hours a day teaching, every weekend training. I didn't take rest days for probably a decade plus.
That's a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I was strength training as well. I always wanted to be fit. I didn't believe that if I was an overweight or obese martial artist, that people would want to learn from me. So I was always trying to lead by example, and I felt like I did a pretty good job of it but like everything, eventually that crashes. And I crashed pretty hard. My spine basically was the straw that broke the camel's back. So in the military, L3, L4 was herniated and ruptured. In a jiu-jitsu tournament, I felt my neck go on me, and that was C6, C7. And I didn't really stop training. At one point, I completely lost the use of my foot. Eventually, I lost the use of my fingers and my left hand. I was able to bring all that back, which kind of brings in the naturopath, which is really cool. I tried everything. I tried traditional Chinese medicine. I tried every modality. Veteran Affairs paid for me to go to school, how to fix myself. And so I understand the human body very well, more so now than ever. But it's really because I've been forced to learn it, or the pain has brought me to that point. The pain got excruciating. I ended up having to pay for an MRI so I could get results faster. I found that we had a lot more herniations and ruptures than planned. So there was 8 herniations, 4 in the lumbar, 4 in the neck. 6 of those were full ruptures as well. So no wonder I was in so much pain.
Huge, yeah.
I've seen the pharmaceutical world absolutely destroy my friends who are in the military who suffered some extreme PTSD. So I really wasn't going to go through that path. I've seen their liver and their kidneys get destroyed. I've seen family members go through the same journey. So I was really paranoid about that. I used medical marijuana to kind of help cope with the pain and the inflammation as long as possible. And it was a lot. It became too much. And then I started golfing again, and I remember you being like, "Why are you golfing?" And I was like, "I love it." I gave it up for 12 years, and eventually the pain just became too much for me, that I said, well, if I'm going to be in pain, I'm going to do it what I love anyways, and I started golfing.
Right.
I think that was a good and a bad thing. A bad thing as in the amount of pain I was in, a good thing as in it kind of finally kicked me in the ass and said, go get this procedure that you need. So before that happened though, before the procedure or the surgery, it was the naturopath clinic. So I remember I was going to, I think my girlfriend and I we were looking at booking the surgery. And then she came across a website and said, have you ever tried prolozone therapy? And I was like, I have no idea what this is. No, I haven't heard about it. No, I'm not really cool with injections. Like, this is kind of weird. Like, I have no idea. So I go and I check it out, and it was at your clinic, which I had no idea that you used to work at. And so I was seeing Dr. Schlee, and then one day you walked by. I was like, what are you doing here? You're like, well, I'm a naturopath. I was like, no way. Like, this is such a small world. So the ozone therapy made a huge difference for me, the prolozone therapy. That helped take those herniations, and after 12 treatments, kind of push them back in. And I got my life back. I got the use of my foot back. I got my hands coming back, like all these things that are really needed as a martial artist. It was great. Eventually, though, it became too much, right? And it was helping, but it wasn't stopping the pain. And
got to a certain point.
Yeah, and if you've been through nerve pain, it shuts you down. Yeah. It shut me down. I started taking pharmaceuticals, gabapentin. That was a hell of a drug. I was only on it for 6 weeks, and I have never felt less human in my life.
Oh,
I literally,
like zombie.
Like my soul left my body, right? And I was on autopilot, and yes, I was here, but I wasn't.
There's so many elderly that are on gabapentin for chronic pain if there's deterioration in the spine, and it's amazing. Like the dosages,
it's unreal.
Yeah,
it's unreal. And I was taking a pretty high dose just because of the pain levels I was in. We kept upping it and upping it and upping it until it was to a point like, tell me when you feel no pain, and we hit the max basically. Right. And I was like, holy cow. Right. And one of my family members, right, they were like, well, yeah, I've been on that for 7 years. I'm like,
7 years.
Whoa. I was like, okay, well, that kind of explains a bit, right? So, so it was really tough. Basically figured out a way to have the surgery. So flew down to the States, had a procedure which is called disc seal. They basically introduce into the disc artificial fibrin. That fibrin comes in and seals it. It was a 45-minute surgery, and I literally woke up pain-free.
Amazing.
So it was really cool that happened. for the 3 months after that, I was doing fantastic. I was golfing. I was reintroducing the gym into my life. I was reintroducing fighting again, and it was amazing. It was really cool. And then my entire nervous system shut down on me. And one day I went to get out of bed, and my pelvis basically said, "No, you're not walking today." And so it's been 4 months of going through all that, and crutches and a cane, and rebuilding the nervous system and the guarding that took place. So
Right.
I've been bedridden for basically 3 months up until about 6 weeks ago. So I just went crazy with Chad and started learning the most I ever have about the human body. And I said, if I'm going to make some real changes in my life, I need to get blood work. I need to stop alcohol. I need to stop everything. I need to really just hit this baseline, and at 42 years old, start living the best life I ever had. That's when, so when my hip kind of went on me and my pelvis went, I was looking for peptides. And I said, I've heard great things about them. I didn't want to just jump on the ibuprofen and Tylenol pain train and do everything I was before. So I was like, okay, how are we going to get through this? So I went to a clinic, and they said, well, have you had your testosterone levels checked as well? I was like, no. I was like, I have no problem with ED, so it shouldn't be a big issue, right? I was like, sure, if you want to do some blood work, sure.
Lots of men say that.
Yeah, because that's all I ever heard about.
You don't relate it to anything else, like energy or mood or motivation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Happy wife, happy life. And she was happy, right? So I was like, okay, like I should be okay. Like there should be no issues. The test results came back, and I had the testosterone level 182, which is like equivalent to a 12-year-old boy. Right? So no wonder my body wasn't repairing itself. No wonder I felt like my cup was always full. No wonder mentally I couldn't take on extra stressors. Like all of the symptoms, my girlfriend and I are going through it, and all the symptoms are like, oh, that explains this and this and this and this. It's every single one. Holy cow. Right? So I jumped on the testosterone train. I'm taking the minimal amount possible. I'm doing blood work every 3 months, and my levels are back to a normal range, which is great, right? The thing I don't like these days is like everyone's like, oh, I'm on TRT, and I'm like, no, you're taking like 1,200 milligrams a week. You're not on TRT. You are doing steroids, right? Where I'm doing like the base minimal just to get me back to healthy. Right? Because that's the reason I don't want to. Like I don't want to worry about side effects. I just want to feel normal again.
Physiological range, that's what we call it. It's being able to have the lowest dose possible for the shortest amount of time. So sometimes in hormone replacement, it can be for a short period of time, or sometimes it's forever. But if it gets you into the range, then it's okay for your body without any side effects. Then that's the goal. And that reminds me of a patient that I had, a female that we did hormone labs on, and her testosterone was 83. So she had like total testosterone that was 10 times what any man would be. And it was because she was overdosing in her topical therapies of testosterone. Okay. So I was like, we got to do something about this and be able to make sure that she's not, flooding the gates with all this testosterone. And it was just by chance that we found that, but also her symptoms weren't like growing a beard and rage. She had fatigue that was so much that she couldn't even get out of bed. Like it was incredible. The symptoms don't always match what the labs do. And so that's why I always like to do the labs and it's not expensive. Like a hormone panel can be $80 out of pocket, or Alberta Healthcare can pay for it.
Well, and that was what was kind of weird, right? Is I went to this specialty clinic to get peptides, to try peptides to see if they help. They happen to offer the testosterone, right? And then they say, yes, you're low on this. Look at this. Our hormone specialist will go through all this with you. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I go and talk to my doctor, and I'm like, okay, like this year, my doctor's like, whatever they say, I'll write off on. And I'm like, what? I'm like, don't you know anything? Nothing. They had no clue about it, right? So when like the hormone clinic that I went to, I was like, okay, this is great. You guys are offering me all this excellent information. Okay, I guess it was expensive though. It was like $500 to their clinic a month.
Oh, really?
Right, where it's like, okay, I went to Alberta Health Services, and once my doctor said, whatever their number is that they tell you to take per week, we're going to follow that protocol.
Yeah.
And then we'll try that. We'll continue to get blood work every 3 months and just kind of see how you're doing.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. I had a really good doctor for that to kind of help
perfect.
out.
Yeah.
Because it's only $50 a month now.
Yeah.
Right, compared to 500.
For
right,
the
and
TRT injections.
Yeah, for the TRT.
Yeah.
Right. So that was tough for me at first to kind of accept. Like, no wonder it felt like salesman me and kind of pushy, right? Because at $500 a month, like, you should be getting an extra service, right? But really, I paid for information, right? And then once I had that information, and now I've been on it for, I think, 5-6 months now. Like, what a difference! Like, truly, truly game changing, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, but it would have never happened if my hip ever seized on me. So maybe that's what the universe or God was telling me.
Yeah.
Right. Of like, no, say you're not done your healing process yet.
The catalyst of growth, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you just even think about muscle mass and bone density, those things are really essential in the testosterone numbers. So it could be that there was just so much degradation in your joint system that the testosterone wasn't allowing you to rebuild it and wasn't giving that healing response. That's really an important part.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the hormone specialist said. It was like, your body is producing it, it's just not producing enough of it because your body is using it because it's been in stress for so long.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I had DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, for like 5 days. So I'd be in the gym and I'd work out. I'm like, oh, I do a chest day. Okay, I'm gonna do a bro split, chest, back, bis, tris, legs. Okay, so I'm gonna do all that. And then my 5th day will be rest. I'm like, that's perfect. That's usually when I recover from my chest. So then I go and work out. I'm like, isn't that normal? And it's like,
no.
Well, I'm talking to my friends. They're like, well, it's just because you're old, man. Like, don't worry. I'm like, I'm not that old, right? Right. But it was like, that was normal to me. And now I do a chest day and I could literally do chest the next day if I wanted to. Like, that's how much of a difference it is.
I think also your nutrition probably ties into that. So you stopped alcohol.
Yeah.
You increased your protein content.
Yeah.
You decreased your carbohydrates.
Everything. It's been a journey for sure. So when I did personal training, I understood macros. It was pretty simple. Calories, if you want to lose weight, eat less calories than you burn in a day. Like, for anybody who has no idea how to lose weight, just do that. I proved that to a point when I was 27 years old. And I said to my students, I'm like, listen, in a month, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to eat this. And I ate candy and I ate bread and I ate basically everything absolutely terrible for you, just to show that I could still lose weight based upon calories alone.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So because I'm a numbers guy.
And that actually applies for a 27-year-old male, but sometimes doesn't apply for a 40-year-old male or a 50-year-old female with hormones that are in the tank.
If your hormones, if your blood work isn't balanced yet, I don't think you should be on a diet.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be doing. You have to find a baseline.
Right.
Right. So I basically said, let's cut back to 0. And let's see where I can go. Alcohol, I had never planned on quitting. It was actually post-surgery. We went for dinner. I had my normal, I loved IPAs. I had an IPA. Excuse me. I had an IPA and I didn't finish it for like the first time in my life. It was something that I was always built into me. You always finish a beer. You never leave it down. And I was like, and I left it and I was just like, wow, okay, that's different. I came home, I wanted to have a nice glass of wine, right, with steak. And I was like, okay, I had that. And then I just stopped needing it. But it was because there was no more pain.
Right.
Right.
And I didn't correcting the pain.
Yeah. And I didn't even think I was, because I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't drinking 6 beers a night. I was just having a couple just to kind of keep that edge off.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me, right?
Right.
It was just a habit that I got into. So it just kind of slowly weaned its way out. A lot of my friends, my social circle, all stopped drinking as well. And I was kind of the only one drinking. I was like, okay. And so I just stopped.
It's huge for inflammation. Like, the inflammatory response from alcohol is really hard on the body, as well as helps, it reduces the repair of
everything.
your body. So
Yeah.
the blood sugar highs from the alcohol
Yeah.
and the liver trying to detoxify it is a burden
Yeah.
from your body versus repairing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like, because I always heard like 1 glass a day is fine to drink. You'll be okay. I'm like, sweet. I don't drink it all during the week because I train and I teach. So then I can save my 5 glasses of wine for Friday night. Right. I'm like, okay, it's great. But no, like they just did a new study and it's 1 glass a month. Like a month.
Yeah.
That's insane that people are drinking so much now and thinking that it's okay or somewhat healthy.
Yeah.
But it's that little tiny bit of liquid poison that's just slowly killing your body. And it's like, how many people are super unhealthy because they think they're doing something good for themselves, but they're actually not.
Yeah.
Right. And it's detrimental. And my body was riddled with inflammation. I was like, you name it, I had tendonitis in every single joint of my body.
Yeah.
And I was always like, well, it's because I'm lifting weight and I'm doing BJJ and I'm doing tons of Filipino martial arts, which is stick and knife fighting, have to hold on to it, and all of these issues. And it's like, once I quit alcohol, it was like 3 months I noticed a difference, 6 months I noticed a difference, and now I'm like 9 months, like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Right. I'm so much more present. I still drink like fake beers, right, if I'm out, because it helps, right?
Yeah.
Just it helps.
It's amazing that the line of things that they have now for being able to have 0%.
Yeah. I think companies have started to realize that a lot of people are seeing how terrible it is for you, so they're going to offer alternatives. But it's still something that you can do socially.
Yeah.
So it's a really smart move on their part, like they're having to adapt to it. But it's just a generation. Like in Calgary, as you know, we have the Stampede, right? And the Stampede, we used to wait like 2 hours in line to go and get a drink. And my buddy was there like last year, and he's like, that lineup was like 2 minutes long. He's like, the water lineup was 2 hours long.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so times are changing.
Yeah,
right?
the generation, I think the 20s and 30s now, they have reduced the income or the sales of alcohol by 80% compared to what it was like,
which is great,
when we were 20.
Yeah. I mean, I love it now because I actually like, there's just so many little things that I'm benefiting from, right, where I didn't even realize it was kind of a part of my life. Right. And now I'm kind of out of it. I'm like, wow, like I can work out every day, no question asked, and push to 100%. Right. If my back and spine are good. Right. But it's just all these different things. So alcohol is a big one. I would say the other thing that I've really tried to eliminate is, let's just say sugars, the easy way. Right. Really trying to focus on, okay, can I look at my diet and say, is there less than 5 ingredients in the thing I'm eating?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Right, and it's like I taught it to my son 2 weekends ago. I said, listen, can you read that? He's like, yes. Can you read that? Yes. Can you read that? Kind of having issues. He's 8 years old. Can you read this? Can you read this? And then all of a sudden there's like 20 other listings, and they all become 7 or 8.
Syllables.
Right. And all of a sudden it's like, he's like, no. I was like, then we shouldn't eat that today.
Right.
I was like, but you can have a little in moderation.
Yeah.
Right. Because when we were kids, we would eat a whole bunch of that, but it's different.
Yeah.
Back then it wasn't filled with red 40 and all these terrible things for you, and glyphosate and all this crap. And it's like, okay, so what can we do? So that made a big difference. I would say one of the biggest things I've reintroduced is a lot of rice in my diet. My friend owns a Vietnamese shop, Essence of Saigon. And I would always eat at his place, right? So I had a pretty high rice diet already.
Okay.
But I'm cooking everything for myself now. I'm making sure I know exactly what my macros are. I'm weighing my food. I'm doing everything, but I'm down to 12% body fat, right? I've lost 26 pounds in 3 months. I feel the healthiest I ever have because I know exactly what I'm putting in my body. I'm not cooking with bad oils anymore. Like, it was all the little things that taste delicious, right? I was like, I'm going to lose all of this. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, woe is me, right? And
your taste buds change though once you start making your own food. It really makes a big difference. Yeah.
It was about day 80, 82, I think, on my
82.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was my fitness pal, right? So I know exactly, right? So I remember going through it, and I was like, okay, it's been X number of weeks. I'm doing so good. Okay, this feels fine. I was like, I haven't had a craving for chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't had a craving for sugar. I haven't had
Mm-hmm.
a craving for this. I was like, holy cow. And it was like right at Easter time. That's what I remember. Right. And my son, we had bought these cookies with these like Cadbury mini eggs. Those
Yeah.
like used to be my favorite. And like took a bite on it. And I had one bite and I was like,
Too
no. I was
much.
like, it's
Yeah.
so rich.
Yeah.
It's so much. Right. I was
Totally.
like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Right.
Yeah.
And that helps. So I think it's like anything we do in life, we have to find a balance with it.
Yeah.
But when you have addictions to food,
Mm-hmm.
addictions to fat, addictions to sugars, like sugar's more addictive than cocaine, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
addiction to alcohol or all these different things. It's like when you kick it and you finally get to that point, like you're making the right choices for your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you know that you're doing that, right? But all of a sudden it becomes so simple. You
Yeah.
just have to trust the process.
I suspect, though, it was like a whole catalyst of events for you. It
100%.
was like you were able to heal from the pain with the
Yeah.
surgery,
Yeah.
and then you had your receptors filled with the testosterone that you were deficient of.
Yes.
And then there was less of that cortisol and stress response. So then you weren't craving the sugars, and there wasn't that
Yes.
alcohol to just numb the pain just a little bit,
Yeah.
and like all of those habitual things, those cravings are coming from other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's stress often, but
Yeah.
if it's a physical thing, it definitely, when you balance out the pillars of health, then the rest of the food addictions or the wants
Yeah.
go away.
For sure.
And you're also filling yourself with healthy amounts of the macros. Like what are your macros for protein and
Yeah,
those?
so right now at 222.4 pounds this morning, I am ingesting 236 grams of protein. I know that's more than I need to. I actually tested it out, and I believe that the industry is wrong. I believe that we should be only ingesting the number of pounds of lean muscle mass you have.
Yep.
I don't feel like you need more to actually have proper protein synthesis. I believe that that's paid for by large corporations who
Yeah.
want you to buy your protein products,
Right.
right? So that you make sure you have excess.
Mm.
So I've been doing that. Right now, I can't get my carbohydrates to where I want them to be, which is 188 grams of carbs.
Mm-hmm.
If I go higher than that, I feel like I'm too watery. I'm retaining too much water.
Right.
And I don't like that look, especially when I have such low body fat percent right now. I want to look like I'm shredded. I don't want to look like I'm soft and squishy,
Yeah.
right? And once I surpass 210 grams of carbs, I get that soft, squishy look. So I don't like that, even though that my fat percentage is so low.
Mm-hmm.
My fat content right now, I was down under 30 grams of fat, but that was during an extreme cut when I was down at 1,700 calories. So now I'm back up to 2,100 calories, 188 grams of carbs, 50 grams of fat, good fats, not shit fat, and then 236-ish grams of protein. That gives me a really nice balance. When I was cutting, at one point, I was cutting down to 1,700 calories, but I still felt good, which was weird, right? Because I was doing on average 2,600 calories before, 250-ish carbs, fats, and proteins fairly similar. And I felt like, okay, yeah, like this is my maintenance diet. Once I started just slowly cutting, I went from 2,500, 24, and then 22, then 21, then 2000, then 1900, 1800, and I was like, I'm full.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not like hungry. I get hangry, right? I wasn't getting hangry, but
Mm-hmm.
it was a very long process.
Mm.
I said, if I'm going to basically recalibrate my entire body and build a full new body, I'm going to want to do it in the healthiest, most balanced, safest way. So the first time in my life, I didn't go from 2,500 calories to like 1,200 calories.
Right.
Like I used to cut hard,
Right.
and I was shredded, but my body was paying
It's
for it.
tough on your body, yeah.
I actually think about it, I couldn't imagine what I was putting my body through.
Mm.
Because now if I did it with no alcohol, no weed, no nothing, I wouldn't feel it, right? But now I would feel everything with all those things out of my body, right? So I've done it really, really good. And now I'm reverse dieting. So I went from 1,700 3 weeks ago to 1,850, 2,000, back to 2,150. 2,150, I found like I was was kind of hitting maintenance, but not.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped that back down. I just changed it again actually this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to rebalance when I was intaking my fats.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big thing a lot of people who lift weights, they do wrong. So one of the things I used to do when I was personal training, it wasn't just what you eat, it was what time you eat.
Yes.
Right? So fueling your body properly through the day so that by the end of the day, you have nothing left in your gas tank. Right? And I think a lot of people, they just kind of, oh, I can eat at whatever time of day. And you can, if you have a good metabolism, if you're 25, like Sam Sulek talks about it all the time, who's a bodybuilder, right? And and so he can cheat all those things, but he's even realizing as he gets older, he needs to be a little bit more clean on his diet.
Yeah.
Right? His body isn't getting rid of the crap like it used to,
Yeah.
right? So it's great to see the evolution of even a lot of the social media influencers start to really change and start to understand, like, if I want to do this for 10 years to be the next highest level of bodybuilder, I'm going to have to start thinking, if I'm 25, like a 35-year-old, like a 40-year-old.
Well, it does make a big difference on age.
Yeah.
I think that it's because of not the chronological, but the biological
Yes.
age of where the hormones are at. So I would reflect that you don't eat a lot for your size. Like that actually is not very much food or calories for somebody your size. Because my day-to-day would be a goal of like 1,800 calories, and I would take in 100 to 130 grams of protein.
Yeah.
And I'm at about 60 to 80 grams of carbs on a daily basis. So it's not, it's kind of half of what you are, but the calories are a little bit higher because I have usually 50 grams of fat in a day.
Yeah.
And that's nuts and seeds and being able to have full fat.
Yeah.
What I think really is important about fat is that it stabilizes blood sugar. And so I did a continuous glucose monitor test on myself. It might be fun for you to try that. What I realized is that my blood sugars were going low at night. Like they were going below 3 at night 3 times, 12 a.m., 3 a.m., and 6 a.m. throughout. And so what I was doing was I was under eating in the morning. So I wasn't actually filling all those receptors where there was less of the calories to be available in the blood sugar of the fasting to be stable. Yeah. So the more fat that you can add in to a certain level, obviously 30 to 50 is sort of ideal. Yeah. You can stabilize the blood sugar and make sure that threshold doesn't drop below the 3 mark where you need to be.
Interesting.
Above.
Yeah. See, and like that's that next level, right? Like I'm lifting kind of bro science and dieting with all the information that I have, but still needing to seek out experts like yourself can bring you to that next level. Yeah. Right. Like there's guys who can become, IBBF champions, right, in bodybuilding and do it on their own, but eventually get to the point they're like, well, there are professionals that can do this better and faster, right? And they can make it healthy for my body, right? Because I always grew up with the idea that fat was bad. Yeah. Right? Don't eat fat, don't eat fat. Where now I'm like, my fat is too low because I'm feeling my joints. Right. Or my fat is too low because I'm having like hormonal issues, right? And I'm like crying during a movie or something. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, is it TRT? Is it hormones? Did I eat enough fat? Right? But it's little things like that. Yeah. Right? Where it's like I would have never introduced fats that much into my diet before. Right. It would always be just watch your calories and watch your protein, you'll be okay. Yeah. Who cares about carbs, right? Where now carbs, like, before I do my strength training workout, I make sure to fuel myself properly with about 60 carbs. I fuel after with about 60 more carbs. Yeah. And then before I teach at night, which is 4 hours with no food, I make sure to have, that's my biggest meal, right? And that's not perfect. If I wanted to be a bodybuilder, I'd be doing all my carbs pre and post workout. Yeah. And then nighttime would just be like proteins and salads and, fats. Yeah. Right. But I think a lot of people, they get lost, and because there's so much information out there, they're like, well, I don't know what to do. And I don't know this. And it's like, well, then go seek somebody out. Yeah. Right. Get some more information.
And when you were going down in your calories, I suspect you're going down into ketosis, and that makes actually a person feel very robust for a certain period of time, like gives you that neurotransmitters. The big thing to remember about fats is that its molecule in our body is cholesterol, and cholesterol has been demonized
Isn't
in
that
our
the truth?
society.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are on statin medications, and that suppresses the cholesterol. If you look at the hormone tree, there's a top-down approach where cholesterol's at the top. And then it goes down into pregnenolone, progesterone. Progesterone shuts over to cortisol, so we have our stress hormones. But cholesterol always also goes down into estrogen and testosterone. So if you don't have cholesterol and you don't have fat in your diet that's feeding in from the top, you're not going to be able to have the liberty of making all of those hormones too. So a low-fat diet can be really tough on people in postmenopausal years and androgen deficiencies as well.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, and I think that's why it's so important that people really start, like for me, it's always been, okay, do I feel good? Like if I feel good with what I'm eating, that's great, right? But then do I feel and look good, right? And if, you know, you have body dysmorphia, it's like, well, I don't look good, so if I just eat less, I'm gonna look better, right? And it doesn't necessarily help. Or this time when I went to 1,700 calories, I was like, okay, I know I'm starting to get a little flat in my muscles. I know I'm losing carbohydrates. I know I'm losing glycogen. Like all these things taking place. I'm like, okay, now on my reverse diet, like at 2,100, I'm blown away, one, with that I'm actually full, right? Like that's crazy. And I don't think I've found maintenance yet though, because over the last 3 weeks, I'm still losing about 1 pound a week. So I know I can go a little bit more, but right now I feel like I'm just at the kind of precipice of, okay, I'm going to start introducing more fats into my diet and still keep my carbohydrates low. Like I'm eating 3 times the amount of carbs that you are, which makes sense, right? But it's also like, okay, well, where are you going to find it? And that's why like the Fitness Pal app is actually, it's pretty good because you put in your calories and it says, well, you should have this percentage of this and this percentage of this and this percentage of this. And it's like, well, that's good. But like you said, if you can give people the idea of stay between 30 and 50 grams of fat, then that at least gives them an idea of what to put one of those bars at, right? And then it's either proteins or carbs, right? And I think carbs have kind of been demonized now. When everyone's like, don't eat carbs, don't eat carbs, don't eat carbs. But there are times and places that certain people should eat carbs.
For sure, 100%. And I would say that I'm a little bit deficient in the carbs. When I work out, I'm not doing the pre and the post loading, which I would need for my body as well. And then we haven't talked about fiber. Fiber is really essential, and it stabilizes blood sugar. Just so many good things about it. It can keep the bowel movements going, the digestion. It has a lot of value, satiating the appetite as well. So if people are having troubles with being able to overeat, or for example, that can be,
well, and that's because all the stuff out there that you think is healthy, right? It's like, oh, I can eat this protein bar, and it's like, well, what kind of protein is in it, right? Like Starbucks is offering protein drinks now. It's like, what kind of protein are you putting in that? You still can't read the ingredient, but you're having protein, right? So I'm good. I'm drinking more protein. It's like, well, you're also having another 700 calories with that, just because it's protein, right? And then is it like collagen protein? Right. So I think that it becomes hard, but like fiber, it's funny that you say that, because that's what I reintroduced this morning, right? Was I went through and was like, okay, I'm having spinach here, broccoli here. Is this enough, right? And it was like, chat was like, no. Like, you're like 10 to 15 grams short of fiber. And I'm like, I started thinking about like, when was the last time I went poo? And I was like, oh, okay, let's start looking at fiber, because fiber to me was always like, that's old people stuff, right? Like my mom and my dad talk about fiber, right? I don't have to talk about fiber. I'm 42, and I'm like, maybe I should, right? And then so I've just been crushing information, like, oh, well, this will help actually with how much water you're retaining. Right. This will help with how you feel at this time. This will help with your digestion. This will help with this. And I'm like, okay. So I've reintroduced 120 grams of raspberries into my diet, which is nice, because that's a treat now. Right. I'm like, I get to eat raspberries every day, but it was hard because that means I had to cut out 0.75 cups of my rice for the day in order to fit those raspberries in. Right.
Which have more flavonoids and less blood sugar response because of the fiber.
Which should be fine.
My favorite is for fiber is like a chia pudding because it's soluble and you
Okay,
can
yeah.
add in nuts and seeds and then
Okay, yeah.
have some coconut milk with that. So it's a full fat, fiber, and protein
Yeah.
combination.
Well, I find for me is I'm getting my proteins right now. The majority of my proteins are from egg whites, from whole eggs. I again just reintroduced as I'm starting to put more fats into it. So I'm
Yeah.
adding 2 more whole eggs a day.
Yeah.
I was doing that at nighttime. I just switched that again this morning to now breakfast instead. And then it's chicken,
Yeah.
right? I'm just eating. So I
Lean.
really went down to all lean stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm hitting 50 grams of fat, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't introduce chia seeds into my diet,
Yeah.
and that's why I chose
It's
raspberries
robust.
instead.
Yeah.
Because it's so much, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it's a good healthy amount of fat, which I like, but I'm gonna have to cut something else.
Right.
Right. And it was like when you start tracking everything, like my tortillas, I do because it's easier to wrap up my 8 egg whites and 2 eggs into that with a whole bunch of spinach than it is to put it on a sandwich and it falls out.
Right.
But there's an extra 4.5 grams of fat.
Yeah.
Right. And I know it's not good fat.
Yeah.
Right. But it's that
Trans
kind
fats.
of exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's the hard part sometimes, and why people get so overwhelmed by it, and why they need to see a nutritionist or somebody like yourself of like, do this, do it for 2 months, and then try.
And
this.
It's incremental, right?
Yes.
Like you've been in this process for months now.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, I've been doing nutritional stuff for 20 years and paying attention to, and I'm still learning. There's just so much that it's not new research, but it's new understanding of physiology and anatomy of the way that the body is responding to that.
And I think as well as what injuries do I have right now? Can I do this, right? So like 12 weeks ago, I was maxing out at 4,000 steps a day because I couldn't walk more.
Oh, okay.
Right? I couldn't, right? So where you can probably have more calories per day because you can be more active.
Yeah.
My body was like, you're doing 4,000 steps. Like you don't need more than that.
Right.
Right. So I've slowly built up now. I'm hitting about 9,000 to 10,000 averaging a day.
Yeah.
Right. So now, okay, well, you can have a little bit more.
More of the total caloric intake. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. But walking to me it's a gift again. I never walked. I couldn't walk for the last 17 years.
Oh, it's such a great exercise, especially for
if you want to lose fat.
Motion of the lotion is motion is lotion.
Yeah.
The joints just get that movement, not a lot of impact. And
Well, see, with my spine, though, walking killed me. Right. I couldn't walk more than 2K. Right, 2K, and I'm done. Like a trip around the mall with the family, and I was toast. Right, I couldn't sit. I'd be in pain.
Well, maybe the problem is you should be walking on the grass instead.
Yeah,
not in the mall.
Well, and that's it, right? But I had the soft, cuppy shoes. I wanted to do something with the family. Like there was all
barefoot.
These things. Well, that's it. I tried barefoot. It's worse. But when I'm at work, right, on
You're
these nice
barefoot.
soft squishy, I'm always barefoot. So at work, I get on the mats, I feel great.
Right.
And then so I went and bought $200 old man sandals that have like high things, and it's like it helped me get through those moments. But like it's such a gift now that I can walk. And there's people who can walk this whole time, but they choose not to. Right. And it's so good for digestion. It's so good for everything. And it's like, get your 10,000 steps in a day, sort out your nutrition. You'll never have to go to the gym. Right. If you want to look bigger, then follow what we've been talking about. Carbs before workout, carbs before after, right? If you want to get, big or bulky or whatever, bodybuilder, change your form. Right. But I think a lot of people, there's just so much information.
It's huge.
That they need guidance on it. Right. And that's why all these Instagram kind of influencers, they're not even influencers. They're just people who are at the lowest part of their cut. And they're like, okay, it's time to film. And they film everything. And they're like 8-9% body fat. And they're like, if you want to look like me, follow my plan. Bye, 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 bye.
And that's not healthy. Like it's not healthy for anybody to be at 8 or 9% body fat. Yeah, for sure. Like even women at 20% body fat is sort of normal.
It should be normal.
And low normal.
Yeah,
really.
and that's what's healthy with hormones and everything and fats,
Yeah.
right? But they're like, well, I want to have a six-pack. And it's like, you're not designed to be the bodybuilder, right? I think there was a new study that was done. It was like 1% of women should actually be be below 22% body fat.
Right, yeah.
Right? And it's like, this is what's healthy.
Yeah, the storage of the hormones is in the subcutaneous subcutaneous fat. So what I
Makes
see
perfect
is
sense,
that
yeah.
women who are more thin-framed, they can't gain weight, have metabolisms that are very strong, will have more difficulty going through menopause because they don't have that storage of the hormones in the subcutaneous fat.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy, right?
So Kevin, tell me, what kind of supplements are you taking, if any?
Right now I'm doing a multivitamin, and there's big differences in multivitamins that I'm sure you can talk to.
For sure.
I'm doing fish oils.
Fish oils?
I found that one really helped my joints, like over all the years for sure, especially with all the heavy training in jiu-jitsu and excessive bending. Then I'm doing creatine. I switched to creatine HCl versus the monohydrate.
Yeah.
That made a big difference for me.
I had a discussion with a nutritionist the other day about creatine HCl, and they say in the studies that the creatine HCl is more bioavailable, and that you have to take less of it.
Yes.
But then there was just the creatine monohydrate that the nutritionist was a big fan of. So I was like, I don't know which one is working better. But for women, they tend to have a tougher time digesting the creatine monohydrate because the dosage is so high. It's 5 grams. Yeah. And the creatine HCl, you can take half that, like 2 to 2.5.
That's basically what I'm doing. So I 100% switched for vanity. It was all water retention.
Yeah.
I swell up quite big.
Bloaty. Yeah.
There was that big thing going on that was viral for a while, like you should be taking 20 grams a day.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. So I did that and then really puffed up, and I was like, but it was really good for my brain. Like I felt super sharp. Jumped that down to 15 down to 10 I felt nice at, still felt like it was better than just the 5 that they recommend. So I was doing that, and then I just wanted less water retention, so I switched to the HCl.
Yeah.
And on one pill of 5 grams, it felt the exact same as 10.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, so I've introduced that. I keep trying to get my girlfriend to take it a whole bunch because apparently it's really good for everything.
Yeah. For muscle mass.
Well, for everything, right? And it, as my parents getting older, Alzheimer's, all these things start coming into play. It's like, hey, like you guys should be on this too, right? It's the #1 most researched, safest thing out there. So yeah, I think 100%. Everybody should be taking it. And then I just, I gotta look at my list. Normally I know it verbatim, but.
Fish oils, multivitamin, creatine.
It's just easier when you write it down. Oh yes, the zinc and magnesium, and then D3K2 milk thistle. Okay. Yeah, water free. And then also taking vitamin D3. I was doing a lot of that during COVID. I never got COVID once, which is fantastic. So I felt like that's just kind of been a part of my, you could say, diet or nutrition for a very long time now. But then I read that without K2, it's basically useless. So I was very surprised by that. So now I'm doing the combo of those, which is good. I've also started doing a little bit of a liver detox, more lemon, more lime, but also milk thistle. I found a big difference with milk thistle. When I told my doctor I was taking milk thistle, she's like, isn't that just for pregnant women? And I was like, this is why I don't talk to you about these things, right? Because nutrition supplements, they had no idea. It was very interesting. She's like, what pharmaceuticals are you taking? I was like, none. She's like, oh, that's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I started doing magnesium at nighttime to help with protein synthesis. I haven't really noticed too much of a difference, but all of the research on it says it's a huge thing. Maybe I'm just not taking enough.
What source of magnesium?
Oh, I don't remember what it's called. Carbonate, or I don't know.
Citrate. Magnesium citrate is good for like muscle and bone. It can cause an osmotic reaction in the colon so that your stools can get going. Same with oxalate. The magnesium bisglycinate is really good for muscle, bone, brain.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah,
the bisglycinate.
Yeah, I always called it but okay, so bisglycinate. Learning new things every day. Yeah, and yeah, that's about it right now. And then TRT, And then I'm dabbling in the peptide world with BPC 157 and TB 500.
Okay, great.
So yeah, huge.
Doing them both at the same time?
Yeah, both at the same time. Fantastic. That's been a game changer. Absolute game changer. So,
cool. Yeah, lots of research on those.
Yeah, tons coming out. I mean, when the states approved it, I was like, okay, if I can give it a try, fantastic. We'll go from there. So
yeah, source is important to make sure that you have a credible source.
Yes.
For peptides.
Yeah, I think like anything, it's if you find it, but it's kind of tough in Canada.
Yes.
So yeah, we have to be careful about posting.
Yeah, we will.
Because that's illegal.
The peptides. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought about that the whole time. I was like, I'm incriminating myself. I was like, maybe I shouldn't do that on camera. Yeah. The TRT is legal, so we're fine. So.
Was there anything?
Do you want to talk about the multivitamins and all the big differences?
Yeah, I can. I think in regards to multivitamins, there's a lot of changeability in dosages and quantities in the multivitamins, and then sources. So all of the sources of the vitamins come from 2 or 3 main places, actually, for all of the multivitamins.
Oh, wow.
But the main thing that I really, when you look at something that's in the Shoppers Drug Mart that has been over the counter, like for example a prenatal, that will have very low doses on it. And then some of the professional brands will have much higher dosages and bioavailability. And so tablets are less absorbed rather than capsules, and then liquids can be absorbed even more.
Interesting, yeah.
So the dosages are the biggest, and then the quality of the sources of where they're coming from.
Yeah, because I was taking one and it was let's just say expensive, right? And I was like, okay, this should be good. And then when I talked to another naturopath, she's like, well, for your size and how much you're training, you should probably double it up. And since I've doubled it up, I've really noticed the difference.
Yeah.
Right. When I was only taking one, I was like, I didn't really feel different.
Yeah.
But when I went to 2 a day, so I do one now, first thing when I wake up in the morning, and then with my dinner at night.
Right.
And that's when I also do my secondary fish oil, which I thought I was doing enough of. And once I added in that second one, the joints felt even better.
Right. Yeah. Usually I would say one and done is not enough.
Yeah.
On most supplements, unfortunately, like fish oil dosage, generally they're 500 milligrams per capsule. You have to take 4 a day.
4 a day. Wow. Yeah. I'm still only taking 2.
2 grams of fish oils is kind of a standard dose.
Okay.
If there's a post-concussion or a head injury, it's 5 grams.
Wow.
The UFC did a study where they did post-concussion syndrome, and the recovery was much better with those extra fish oils.
Does that matter if you have a lot of fish in your diet already?
It would matter, but the oils themselves are way more potentized when they're in a capsule versus getting the fatty fish like a salmon.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because like I try to eat sushi about once a week to try and just get a little bit more in.
Yeah.
Right, but obviously it's not making a difference at all over the entire week. Right.
I would say the portion of this sushi or sashimi, sashimi is very minimal of what fish and quality oils that you can get, because it's raw. It's really great.
Yeah.
It's not cooked and changed in the fat content, but it's quite a bit. Like dosage does matter in multivitamins as well as fish oils for that. Yeah,
it's good to know.
Well, thank you very much for sitting with me and chatting with me. All of this information is awesome. Yeah. We want to educate people as much as possible about how they can optimize their health, and we know that you've been through quite a journey and learned so much. It's so great that we can share it with everybody else.
Well, and like you said, you've been doing it for 20 years and you're still learning new things about everything, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think the thing I've always had, like we talked about, was I had good discipline, but it's got me through a lot of things, but it's also put me into a lot of pain. Right. So like right now, I'm really trying to find more of a balanced approach. Right. And I think that's what's tough for people, especially in the martial arts world. They're like, how do you be so disciplined? How do you come in and train twice a week? How do you make sure you never miss a date? And it's, I'm always reminded of the saying of like, your thoughts become your beliefs become, oh no, did I just say it wrong? Is it thoughts first? Yeah. Thoughts become beliefs. Okay. Try that again. I'm always reminded of the saying of your thoughts become your belief becomes your words become your actions, right?
Yes.
So it's everybody wants to become healthier, right? They always have the thought to do it, right? But you have to believe you're going to be healthy. And I think just like in martial arts, it's like imagine yourself earning your next stripe. Imagine yourself earning your next belt, right? What would that feel like? Now put the actions into place to do that. But discipline isn't something that's just in somebody. I think that's very, very, very rare. It's something that you have to build in yourself, right? And if there's one thing that I could say these days is like everybody wants to make these changes in their lives. Well, then start doing it, right? Don't just say things, right? Like in the kids program, I say, be impeccable with your word. If you're going to say it, if it's going to come out into the universe and others, like members of your family, are going to hear it, or your family and friends, right? Follow up with that. Yeah. Do your best to do it. And I think you can do that by yourself for sure, but it's always nice to be in a supportive environment.
Yeah.
Right. I think that makes a big difference. You know, it's nowadays people really, you know, they kind of shun, oh, you're not drinking tonight. Oh, how come? Right? Oh, just have a beer, man. It's just a beer, no worries. Or, oh, you're not eating. Oh, how come? Well, it's because I'm on a diet. I'm trying to get healthier, right? And they're never going to support you in the journey until it's done, right? And I think that's where you have to do it for yourself more than anything, right? And that's why, like the academy, Calgary Gong Fu Academy, it's how to master yourself. Right. That's why the parents don't get to be in the dojo. You guys get the boot room, you get the TVs. The kids are in here to train because it's their journey. If they're going to pass, they're going to pass. If they're going to fail, they're going to fail. You guys can help them on the drive home, but they have to learn through failure, just like we will. We're going to cheat on our diets a little bit. I don't, right? But it's because I'm too disciplined, right? And maybe there's some balance when I can allow myself to cheat, right? But understanding where we are and then learning to find that balance. I mean, I'm 42 and I feel like I'm just learning about balance now, right? And I know it's going to be a long part of the journey, but through our experience, we understand wisdom, and hopefully by people watching this today, they will become more wise.
Well, it's very much a human approach, really. Like being able to be impeccable with our word is about with reflection of ourselves, the kindness and not having that judgment, but also to portray that in around you, and other people will follow.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's contagious.
You're very much a leader in the community that you've developed here.
I try. I try. Awesome. Well, thank you, Marnie.
Thank you.